Um, I don't know, Tiger, kick it off. You're the kind of running the show here.
All right. So, as you guys both know, I basically spammed as many people as I could on Discord, asking them to share their opinions on the biggest issues that are plaguing Legends right now. And this can be anything involving the player base, involving in game mechanics, in game features, anything that's happening outside of the game that's still affecting the game, so on and so forth. I'm still kind of shaping everything together and looking at everybody's and combining things. I want to make like a Google form that just says like rate on a scale of 1 to 10 what's number one like biggest problem to like worst problem. Just like name the 10 biggest problems that everybody shows. Because if I made a video discussing what everybody said, it would be like a 2.5 hour long video
We'll
because
make
there's
like a
so many
poll.
different
We'll
specifics.
make like a
Yeah,
poll or something.
like a poll or like a Google form that does that as well. So
You guys don't
I
know what kind of train this is?
but yeah, like I
They
so
won't get
far
that one, Jared.
I have it narrowed down to 7 big topics.
Okay.
So there's obviously the monetization of the game, the player base, in-game mechanics, balancing, commanders, the bureau, and updates. Those are the 7 big ones that I've kind of narrowed it down to so far.
Okay.
Obviously, I can add or subtract as I see fit, or as we see fit. Why am I saying? So, what are your guys' biggest things? Like just off the top of your head. I know you wrote messages, but off the top of your head, current day, after previous days' experiences, what are your biggest issues?
It's player base. That's the biggest thing for me. The player base is just awful. It's and no offense to anybody listening, but it's partially not their fault. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
you would think that people would have the common sense to try to learn the game or to have some type of spatial and situational awareness, but that's really what's lacking. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and again, going back to the partially not their fault is wargaming really does no effort into teaching people how this game works. I have never seen a game with this much um how do I say this? I've never seen a game where RNG can really dictate, I guess,
Yeah, the
the
game is
experience.
based
You know
on
what I mean?
RNG.
Yeah. And then not teach people about it, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like not teach people how to angle, what type of ammo to use in what situations. If you're seeing that your base is being capped and you're not going back to defend it, and then you lose and you wonder why you lost because you're just not being aware of your surroundings, and it's just so many different things. There's so, and again, that's not entirely the player base's fault. I do put a lot of it on wargaming with their, for lack of a better word, piss poor uh training or education when it comes to this game, because we know we've been playing this game for 2-3 years, probably more if you've been on PC.
Mm-hmm.
We know
And we've
what
been
to
following
expect.
it for longer because like we've been watching the
Right.
PC guys for years
Oh,
and years now.
100%. Yeah, Flambass, Flamu, Jingles. I can go on and on. But you know, it it I probably wouldn't make such a big deal about it if it was like something that, okay, yeah, it's bad, but it's getting better as the game is going on. It's getting worse as the game is going. You see
Mm-hmm.
far too many high tier matches with unskilled, inexperienced, and you can tell. You can literally always tell as soon as you load up the game and you look at who you're playing against. You're right at standard patch in a tier 7. No camo in a tier 7. No flags, no boosters. And then
Mm-hmm.
literally you can 9 times out of 10, that's the first person that dies. Or they're doing the wrong thing. They immediately leave their side of the map. They're capped. You know what I mean? And I know that's probably like, being a little prejudiced, but I have over 10,000 standard battles under my belt, plus X amount of ranked and arena games. So, I do have an intuition when it comes to this kind of thing. And when you're consistently, top 3 every game, you know, it you just you kind of have that validity in saying these things, I'm not the best player at the game, but I'm definitely above average. I would consider myself, 68% win rate, uh 1.5 KD per match average, and 2450 base XP per game roughly. And
Yeah.
it's not average numbers, it's not the greatest, not the worst, but I think I would consider myself above average. And I'll never say that I'm better the best player at this game because there are a lot of players that are better, but I'm in that 1%, top 1% to know that when I give the critique and the criticism, it's constructive and it's coming from a good place. It's not to pick on people, but it almost gets to a point where like, damn, how much do I have to say and how much do we have to tell people and it still doesn't get across. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like this can't just come from us. This has to come from the depths. This game has been out for over 3 years now, and again, it's getting worse. The player base is getting worse. You're getting games where you're either blowing the other team out or you're getting blown out. There's no more fun competitive games anymore in high tier, legendary especially. And wargaming makes it so easy for you to just boom get into high tier within a day, 2 days maybe, or you could
You
just buy
play
it if you got the
your
money.
if you play
That's
your 10 standard or 10 like AI games to like get yourself leveled up, you buy out the campaign, boom, you have a tier 7 ship that can immediately start playing at the highest tier in the game, and you have no base, not even like, just you have the bare minimum amount of knowledge of how to play the game. You know how to go forward,
Right.
you know how to shoot, and that's really about all you know.
And there's
right.
and
Figure out
there's
other things by.
right, and there's
Sorry.
I would consider I don't mean to, I'm sorry, but I'm just
You're good.
trying to focus on I'm trying to harp more on this topic. I would put it into three categories. There's players that just started the game. Maybe they somehow made their way into high tier, like you said. Did their 10 AI matches. They bought out the campaign. They bought out a ship. Those are the people that barely play. They just want to, hey, I know that ship. That's the Iowa. That's a famous ship. I want to play it. Whatever. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
Massachusetts,
that's totally
Alabama.
fine.
Yeah, those are historic battleships. I get that. But then there's the people you see on Facebook that throw up their stats that have like 8,000, 10,000 battles and they have a 48% win rate, 49%. That's that's crazy to me because
15,000 with a
15,000
49%
with
win
a
rate.
40, right?
Yeah.
That's like how is that fun to lose the majority of the time you play? And I totally understand if you're that type of person. Oh, I only play to have fun, whatever, that's fine. But you
How is losing fun? I
it's not
don't,
even
I
just
don't
that. It's not even just
understand
that. It's
this.
not even just
That
that.
is the greatest question. Yeah.
It's not
How is
even well,
losing fun?
absolutely, but it's not even just that. How do you have such consistently poor stats and not or sorry, excuse me. How do you play that many games and not naturally learn the mechanics?
Well, you can play that many games because your game's over in 2.5 minutes every time. You can just go on to the next ship and the next ship
You
and
know
the
what I'm
next
trying
ship.
to say though? Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
you
Yeah.
got the people who just start out, they bought the way in a high tier. You got people who have been playing this game since day one and they just don't care. They just don't want to
Right.
learn.
You're
They're
not
just
trying to improve.
they're
You're
not. They're not trying to
exactly.
prove. And then you got people who are just
Well,
straight up arrogant.
Can I back up
Go ahead.
for just a second and just play devil's advocate for what you were just talking about? Um,
Agree.
so when I played when I played the last game that I played like competitively for a long time was Battlefield Bad Company 2. And
Oh,
one thing that we always talked about in my clan
love
and
that game.
everything, the word like the buzzword that we used, skill gap, right? Skill
Was
gap. That's
skill
a
gap, yeah.
huge thing, right? So to just be devil's advocate for a second, one thing that I loved about this game was the fact that you have to put the effort in. If you are willing to put the effort in and learn the knowledge, you, in theory, should be a much better player than the person that does not. Because they don't hold your hand and they don't teach you a lot of that stuff. And it
Right.
creates the skill gap, in theory. But that leads back to what Tiger was saying in the beginning, which is my biggest gripe, which is RNG. Because
Right.
RNG is the greatest equalizer of them all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like,
So, prime example. Yesterday, I was in a Flander trying to do a bureau mission just to finish the Des Moines project. And the game's already lost at this point. Like, even if I were to pull some insane last second heroics, we still would probably lose on points because there's a carrier at the back of the map. there's this Mino who is broadside in his smoke screen. He's running tier width, so he's got like Smogathon. This means, for those of you who are listening, that just means he has more smoke screens, but they expire faster. So I come around a corner, and his smoke screen is down. He is flat broadside, not even making any attempt to dodge. I have caught him pants down. I fire my salvo. I hit 3 out of 9 shells. 2 were pens on a broadside Mino, which has the largest and most exposed citadel in the game.
Legendary tier Danae. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I messaged him because I was just like, you have to count your lucky stars at that point. And he messaged me back saying, I completely understand. A broadside Mino should not get away with that. Get away in general. Like 0 citadels on a broadside Mino with Battleship. That it just shouldn't.
He's probably a good player if he understood he got lucky.
Right.
He can admit it, you know.
Yeah, RNG is just, the game is so reliant on it. If you take like War Thunder, if you guys have ever played War Thunder,
I have, yeah.
you know the difference. There is very little to no RNG in War Thunder, and I'm telling you, I've been playing War Thunder for 8 years. 8 years. And I've enjoyed it so much more. Even when I'm frustrated, I'm going on huge losing streaks. The grind takes forever. There's plenty of gripes about it to worry about. But the experience as a whole is so much better because you get rewarded for making good plays. You get rewarded for flanking. You get rewarded for angling. There's none of this bullshit RNG where your shell completely goes the opposite direction of where you aim. There is no RNG dictating whether or not you get critical damage or the shell bounces. That doesn't exist.
And see, I think the reason why RNG is so reliant on this game is because they're too lazy to do some type of skill-based matchmaking. And I'm tinfoil hat going on, and I'm not the only one to say this, but I've noticed the better I got this game, the worse my RNG got.
Well, yeah,
I remember.
I completely agree with that too.
I've had numerous opportunities and scenarios where I see a ship broadside a cruiser or whatever it is, battleships even, full broadside, and boom, overpen, shatters, ricochets, and my dispersion was just like Ray Charles at the range with a shotgun, like like of course that's my RNG. That's the dispersion I get when it's a target like that. Whenever somebody's bow taking me, I'm shooting lasers. You know what I mean? And I remember at first starting to play this game, I used to get a ton more depth strikes, in my battleships.
Granted, that was back before they added the overpen mechanic. They added like shell penetration. They've updated that so many times. But yeah, in general, like even as they were adding it, the depth strikes are still more consistent. Nowadays, it's like 1 in every 10 salvos, and you have to make sure it is the perfect salvo.
Perfect scenario. Got to be angled. Got to be angled in a certain position. You know what I mean? Got to have the blood of a goat. You know, and the
sacrifice.
Yeah, dude. Like just the perfect condition, and kind of to piggyback off of the whole RNG thing. Battleships, as I mentioned earlier, another big thing that maybe I'm skipping ahead, I'm sorry, but battleships are in an awful spot right now.
Terrible.
Awful.
Absolutely terrible.
I am willing to say that battleship play on Legends at the current state is worse than PC, even though they have worse carriers and subs.
Yeah.
Oh, by far.
Legends battleships are suffering more right now.
And you can get double carrier, triple sub games on PC. And
just look at the difference, though, real quick. Look at the difference. On PC, fires and floods don't last nearly as long. What are they, like 30 seconds, 40 seconds?
You can build for them to last between, I think, 27 and like 30 seconds if you go full fire.
And the flood damage does not tick that hard.
Yeah.
Does not tick that hard. You get almost punished for playing a battleship. You know what I mean? Like with all the perks, with all the perks too. Let's, for instance, gyrating drill bits, great perk. Turrets turn faster. You do a little more AP damage, but you lose 10% of your speed. That's a lot in a battleship, considering they go so slow to begin with. And one big gripe I have with battleships in this game, and maybe you guys will disagree or agree with me on this. I don't know, but how is it that battleships that are smaller than some cruisers in this game have worse concealment, worse rudder shift, have worse concealment and smoke when firing their guns. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like for instance, ships like the Cleveland, the Wichita, the Baltimore, Amalfi, uh, Chucky Martel, you know, all those high tier
203s.
cruisers,
Yeah.
203s, whatever. How do they have such ridiculous 2-second rudder shift builds when in real life that's not fucking like the battleships have more of a more realistic, you know, maneuverability, 22-second rudder shift for Iowa base or 19 seconds, whatever it is. You know, even like 13, 14 on Tirpitz, you can get it up to, or Bismarck. You know, again,
Yeah,
they're not that much bigger than some of these other cruisers, but yet they suffer so much with their maneuverability.
that is a big point.
They suffer a
They're
lot.
not playing a fast battleship, so like Iowa, like
Georgia.
North Carolina, Georgia, a few the Bismarck interpreters. If you're not playing a fast quote unquote battleship, you are going to suffer because you cannot escape.
Can't
It takes
escape
you
the
forever to
HE.
turn around.
Right.
And with your minute-long damage control cooldown, if you get set on a double fire, you damage-con it, and then you get set on fire again, you just have to sit there.
And again, I'm sorry if I'm skipping ahead, but that's the thing that really irritates me too. It's like, okay, we talk about RNG. They need to rethink this RNG when it comes to HE spam with cruisers. Because the other day I was in a John Bar. Sorry, Brian. No, I know it's a tough subject.
Just rub it in. That's fun.
Well,
Yeah, just rub it in.
you probably won't like it when you hear this. I was in the JB. I got fire set on me after the first 1 or 2 shells. Okay, I'll take that. Whatever.
Yeah, I can understand that because I've had
From what?
RNG
From
work
what?
with me in that case.
1 or 2 shells from what?
Anything.
What was shooting?
Anything that shoots HE. Literally anything that shoots HE. Okay.
Okay.
Mostly cruisers. I'm talking about. I think maybe it was it was a Suzuya actually. It was a Suzuya.
Okay.
So, oh no, not Suzuya. Mogami. So it was the slower reload 203s. Mogami lit me on fire. Okay, 1 shell, 1 or 2 shells. I don't really remember exactly, but the next salvo, again, 1 or 2 shells, double fire. Okay, so I let it go for a little bit, and then I pop my heal, because I'm already sitting on my damage control, right? So pop my repair party, both fires go out. I get spotted again, instantly triple fired with the very first salvo from Mogami. Triple fired. So the matter of about 3 to 5 salvos, I got 5 fires set on me. And what's the Mogami's fire chance? 12%, I think.
I believe it's 18.
Oh, it's 18.
Oh, it's
Okay.
high.
It's 15 or
Yeah.
18. It is high.
So 1 in 5 salvos just set a fire. 1 fire.
Yeah.
Or should I? Oh no, that's technically per shell. But still.
Yeah.
But still, in general, like, come on. When your ship has a minute long cooldown and the fire damage ticks so damn hard, like, I understand they put will to rebuild in this game. That's great, but it literally is useless unless you play in a division or you have like a 16-3 or 16-4 commander, because that range is dog shit unless you get unless you got a lot of combinations to get your commander up to 16-3, 16-4 or whatever.
Another big thing about the whole fire tick damage is most of the commanders that have access to that perk to reduce fire damage, reduce fire duration, reduce flood damage, so on and so forth.
Don't get will
Any
to
of
rebuild.
those commanders, they're also locked behind a paywall. Like, there's the Azure Lane Littorio has it, Azure Lane Dunkirk has it. I believe there's 1 or 2 other Azure Lane commanders that have that same perk. They're not the stock commanders that battleships get. So you have to, if you do not run Damage Control Mod 2 or Damage Control Mod 1, you are going to be having floods and fires lasting 1 minute and 6 seconds, 1 minute and 10 seconds.
And that's what I'm saying. It almost punishes you to play battleships because you have that damage control mod, right? But then you don't get rudder ship, you don't get prop mod. Which, good luck trying to go anywhere in your battleship. Good luck trying to stop. Good luck trying.
What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think if we halved that and took out will to rebuild?
I'd be fine with that if they
remove will from the game and half fire and flood damage. I think that's a good compromise.
Even if you just reduce the duration to like 45 seconds maximum.
Duration's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean.
Even though the duration would be lower, the tick damage is still too high in my opinion. The tick
Oh,
damage
flooding
is way
is-
too
flood.
high.
Flooding
for
is-
floods, for fires,
Yeah.
I can understand the tick damage because that increases per fire. But flooding is just it's so
Okay, so
bad.
this is a compromise.
Not to mention
I
it
have.
slows you down by what, half?
This
or
is
a
a
quarter or something
compromise.
like that?
This is a compromise I would say would be good. If you're gonna allow a ship to heal 100% of the fire damage they took, then make the freaking repair party consumable a lot quicker than a minute 30, or or even like 2 minutes on the Conqueror. I think it is the high tier British battleship, the legendary one. So again, it's just like they're like, yeah, you're gonna experience this, but we have this, and it's like great, but it's gonna take me 3 years to use that, that consumable, or
It's
like,
been 84 years.
yeah, it's like, oh, okay, well, we can reduce your fire and flood damage by 15%, but you're not gonna go anywhere. You're gonna move very slow. You're gonna turn very slow. You know what I mean? And it blows my mind. Also, back to the RNG, it's making me lose sleep almost. How they don't realize, after all the gripe that they hear from the player base, from the CCs, from the super testers, I'm sure, that the biggest, most vulnerable ships in the game have the absolute worst RNG and dispersion from their guns.
Oh, that's why I don't
Like,
play them.
like if
Agreed,
you
100%.
have 50 cal guns, we're talking like big old freaking six. What does Iowa have? Iowa has 50 cal Mark
caliber.
7s, Mark 7
Yeah,
50 caliber,
guns
big old
that were
guns.
specifically designed to increase the rifling, to increase the shell speed, to increase the actual accuracy of the shells, and it seems like they just throw that out the window.
Right. If I'm, and
Well, they don't. They don't. RNG does. If you're over a
but that's what I'm
65%
saying.
win rate.
That's what I'm saying. So what I'm trying to say,
Even
I guess,
60. Let's just say 60. If you're over
Dude,
60, it's
yeah.
gonna troll.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think what I'm trying to say, and forgive me if I can't really bundle into the best words. I don't speak to good know-how, but if you have a type of ship that has the slowest reload, the most vulnerability, the worst concealment, then the caveat on that ship should be it shoots fucking lasers through a turtle's asshole. That's how it should be, in my opinion. No RNG
Yes.
when it comes to your main batteries. Secondaries,
It
I can
should be.
understand that, but
Deadly
that
accurate.
should come to player skill. Like, oh, I'm in this ship with the biggest handicap in the game against all this other shit, and I understand the whole rock paper scissors kind of thing, but it's almost like where cruisers are pretty damn invincible now at this point when it comes to the meta. But again, if I'm in a battleship and I have all this going against me, then let my skill, let my aim, let my experience, let my, judgment be the result of my shot. You know what I mean? Like, if I
Did you aim it well?
if I aim it well,
Yeah.
my shots are on target, let it fucking do something. Because guess what? In 30 seconds, I'm gonna try again, and that target could be gone. Behind a rock, smoke, stop shooting, because 20 seconds, after 20 seconds, you can't see the target anymore unless they're
Or
in
with
front
ships like
range.
Weimar, that 30 seconds is a lot of damage that's coming your way for 30
4.5 second
seconds.
reload.
Yeah.
Right. For me to
With
be able to,
IFHE, I mean, you're
right.
feeling
And
that
again,
for 30 seconds.
and again, you're up against all those odds, and then on top of that, you're shooting at a target that can move like a damn cat, rudder shift, 2
Right.
seconds, 3 seconds, whatever. And you're
He's
just
kiting you, and he's moving all over the place.
right. You
And
really
all
have
your shells miss, and then he burns you down. I mean, that's what upsets people, is that kind of stuff.
right. And then like I griped on the player base, but now that we're talking about this is kind of becoming my biggest pain point, because I love playing battleships. A lot of people think I'm a destroyer main, which
I'm a battleship main.
I
I
kind of
play
am now,
everything, but-
because in
You guys are
Brian,
masochists.
it's almost impossible to win if you're playing in a battleship, especially solo.
I embrace the meta. I'm
100%.
an HE spamming cruiser main. I love it.
Yamato is still my most played ship because the second I got Yamato out of the bureau, it was the first bureau project I completed.
Alaska was my
Second I
first.
got it,
Alaska
I
here too.
I would play Iowa, I would play Yama, and I would play, I think, Bismarck. And I wouldn't touch any other battleships.
You played pre-buff Bismarck? You are a
Bismarck was my
masochist.
first
Chad.
tier 7.
What a
Bismarck
Chad.
was my first tier 7.
That's what Buck said, though.
September of 2019.
Buck
What a
even said,
Chad!
Buck even said it. Buck was like, dude, I thought the Bismarck was gonna be such a better ship. What a piece of shit it was.
Yeah, like I got Yama, I got Iowa, Amagi, and Bismarck, and I didn't play anything else because if I caught a battleship broadside or a cruiser broadside, Yama would just fucking Thanos snap it out of existence. It would reward me for properly positioning and taking a proper shot.
And then what do they
Now-
do? They nerf the fucking accuracy, the grouping.
Which makes zero sense. You should
Tiger
nerf
was having
the
too much
reload.
fun.
And,
It's
that's
balance.
what pisses me off.
reload.
And maybe I'm foreshadowing it something in the future. Maybe you guys would know because you're super testers. But they nerf ships like Yamato, but then look at Des Moines right now and how it's doing. You know what I mean?
Des Moines gonna get nerfed.
and
dude. There's
granted-
no way it does
And
that.
granted, Des Moines just came out. I get that. But
Right.
Also, she's the first huge 203
True heavy
ATM
cruiser.
Yeah, the first true heavy
Right.
cruiser.
so
But
Yeah.
yes,
and maybe you guys have a different opinion than me, but I hope they don't nerf Des Moines. And I
Me
think
too.
I
Hope
think
they
we
don't.
talked about this the other day, but I hope they don't nerf. Wow, I'm drunk.
Don't nerf.
I hope they
Don't
don't
nerf.
nerf Des Moines because as more legendary ships come out, it's gonna be an equalizer.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's
Yeah.
Moine will be so as strong as she is. She will be power crept by having other competitors introduced over time.
correct.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, okay,
Give me
so
Hindenburg.
dude, I
Give
can't
me
wait.
Hindenburg.
If Hindenburg does come out for this game, I think I'm just gonna stop all my whatever bureau that I don't care about.
Dude, she's so good. So good. Can't even lie.
I mean, do you guys go ahead?
Yeah, I feel the same way, but I want to touch on something that I was thinking of and I've been thinking of since I asked to start this project. So for anyone who comes up with the argument, it's a video game, for one. You can still have fun when losing, too. Like, yes, 100%. When we play video games, we should have fun. It shouldn't always be about winning. Like,
But is
winning
losing
isn't everything.
all the time
But
really
the
fun?
problem is, the big problem is that people will lose and not get better. They will not do anything in their power to get better. Just how is that human philosophy? Thinking about the human intellect. Losing should
Right.
be a key motivator to fucking get better.
In a
Right.
team
But-
game where your team is
especially in a team
dependent
game.
on your own, yeah,
And that's
performance.
And that's another thing. That, yeah, go ahead. I'm
How?
sorry.
Like, I played Siege. I played Rainbow Six Siege. I still play Siege. I used to be dog shit. I used to be bronze, silver ranked. I was not really that good. I just played it for fun. But then I met a group of people who taught me how to properly play the game, how to properly play my role, what to do, how to do it, and be effective at it, and to take the time to learn how to get better. And boom, I was immediately enjoying the game more. I was doing better in the games. I was getting higher ranks. As a whole, I was enjoying myself because
See,
I was
that's-
getting better. I took the time.
Here's the
to get
difference
better.
between you and
But-
these kind of people we're talking about is
Exactly.
you cared to meet this group of people. They don't care to meet this
Yeah.
group of people.
But
They
here's
don't.
the problem with that, and you're 100% right. That's how it should be. But
Exactly.
here's the problem. Wargaming literally has zero community base. Like there is like this is the team based game, but there's no camaraderie in it. There's no in-game chat, or should I say like PC has, where you can literally just type. And I get it, we're on controller, so it might be a little bit harder. But
Oh, we don't want that. That's toxic.
No, very much so.
It's toxic.
but the community within this game is there's no effort in it from wargaming. I feel like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like a lot of these pages you see on Facebook, those are all ran by people, like people, not the
yeah,
actual.
they're not involved at all.
No,
Yeah.
they're not involved at all. And again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. They have no how do I say it?
There is no intention.
No
to
intention. They
do
have no
anything about it.
exactly. Thank you. They have no intention of actually wanting to teach people how to play this game. Like literally, dude, it doesn't take much. You could put in-game prompts, texts in the loading screens. You know what I mean? Like they have some shitty ones that you see here and there, but
Yeah. A tooltip at the loading screen.
tooltip,
View
right.
the armor scheme of your ship,
Or
and
when
the
you
darker
go-
the color, the more you can bounce shells off of that color or something like that. Something simple,
Or when you
teach
go
the
into,
masses. Yeah.
like when you go into an AI match, for instance. As soon as you start the game, boom, you're in a destroyer. Your main goal is to go for caps and to spot for your team. Just simple things like that, or like have a you don't even have to do like a full on tutorial. Like, this is how you have to learn to play the game before you can actually start playing matches. Have like a guide, like put in the menu like a quick, this is how
Dude,
battleships work. This is how cruisers work, and you just go in, you click
you
it, and that's it.
you just reminded me of a thing. Like when I was completely new to this game, I've never played another wargaming title in my entire life. You just said something about like in the tooltip about your job is to spot for your team. I guarantee you new players don't even understand that you have to spot, that people
Right,
are concealed from the beginning because that's
right,
not explained to you
right. And that's
as
what
a
I'm
new
saying. Like,
player. You know?
you can even just make YouTube videos, have links to in the in-game menu, like, here's how spotting mechanics work. Here's how armor piercing rounds work. Here's how HE rounds work. Here's how torpedoes work. Here's how torpedoes get spotted. Here's how, points are affected. I bet you people who play this game, who've played this game for 2 or 3 thousand matches or more, still don't understand that when your ship dies and when your ship dies, you lose points and the other team gain points. Because I've seen far too many matches where the game's right on the line, all you have to do is survive and run the fuck away. But nope, we have to try to win harder. We have to go back and try to kill a ship. And then when that happens, oh, but we had more ships. How did we lose? Because you don't understand how the points mechanic works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've seen so many posts like that where it's like, I don't understand how we lost. We had more ships, or you know, uh, we killed them all, but yet we still lost because the time with the like, you get those matches where the time literally ends right as they click with more points. You know what I mean? Just
Mhm.
situations like that, and again, you would think that if you've played this game for a long time, you would pick up on these things. And I guess part of that has to do with you actually wanting to learn and know how the game works. Or if you're just that, not ignorant, but if you're that oblivious, you know what I mean? Where you need somebody to hold your hand and show you, hey, you've been doing this wrong. This is how it actually works. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And from the developers, that should be something that they should assume, that not everybody's going to pick up the game right away. Not everybody's going to understand how these mechanics work, because there's a lot. When you really
Mhm.
think about it, there's a lot of factors that go into the outcome of the game.
Well, if they don't have anything like that in the game to teach them, are we assuming that they even care about educating that new
And
player?
that's a great
I
transition
don't.
into another topic, monetization.
Right. I don't think that's huge on the or high up on the priority list.
It's not.
Say.
Not
Mhm.
because they're too concerned about making paper ships and coming out with new premium campaigns and other
Well,
ways to make money, i.e. the auction system. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that, dude. The auction system by far was probably the worst
that
money grab I
was
ever
that was a blatant cash grab. That was a blatant cash
played.
grab because you got like the insignias were good because you used the silver for it. The flag that's already been available for twice in 2 years. So I don't understand why they brought that back. But the Koenig Albert, a low tier battleship that's not even that good, and people are throwing 10k, 15k, 20k to win. So 50, 60, 70 bucks for a tier 3 premium. And
They probably
instead,
would
they
have
could
put
use
out in
that
a
money.
free pack at some point. Yeah.
But see, they
But
missed a golden opportunity there. They missed, like, if you want to make cash, put out a ship that would make cash.
Maybe.
Put the JB back out there.
yeah,
Watch how many fucking people would bid for that.
I would
Because they
buy
don't
it day one. I
because
would bid for it day fucking one.
because they only had 500 of the Koenig Albert. They only had
Yeah.
500 to bid from.
50K
And
gold. Let's go.
this is
Right.
coming from a collector. I have 325 ships in my
God
fleet.
damn.
I have all but 30 ships in the game, and like most of those that I don't have were either like alpha tester ships that you got as a reward or certain campaigns that I missed. But at this point, I don't even want to collect ships anymore because most of the ones that I would collect are going to be shitty low tier premiums that I'll play like once a month, twice a month. I don't know because
Charles
they're
Hughes.
not. Yeah,
Never. Yeah. If we're
I
talking
play
Charles
Sims.
Hughes.
I play Sims more than Charles Hughes because I actually
Yeah.
enjoy Sims. It's pretty maneuverable.
Yeah,
But
Sims is
that's the point. Like, they're putting all of these ships out there, like especially paper ships. When instead, what if you put more famous historical ships in?
right.
Do this if you did the same thing. So like instead of putting paper ships with a gimmick, make it a historical ship with a gimmick. And we can be pissed about the gimmick as all as we want, but I would rather have a real ship that was on the ocean in World War II or in
Right.
World War One.
And there's
I
a
would
lot that
rather
they're
have
missing.
that.
There's a lot that they're
Yeah.
missing. Just on American side alone. Like for instance, New Jersey. Why isn't the New Jersey in here? That's the most decorated battleship in the world. Like
Mhm.
it's beyond mind boggling. Like I understand the Missouri and the history behind it because that's where the Declaration of Surrender was by in Tokyo with the Emperor and
Mhm.
blah 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 General MacArthur, and I get that. There's a lot of history with the Missouri and the Iowa is the first class of its. It's the first Iowa class battleship. It's the Iowa. I get all that, but like, come on, New Jersey should definitely be in the game. Um, what's
Another big one is like if you look at the treaty class cruisers of the United States. Like I know this is touching base on the whole United States has everything, but I mean we produced what the most ships
Yeah.
during the
There's like
Second
how
World War
many Fletcher
period.
class destroyers? Like 180 something.
175 Fletchers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like a big one for me is if you are big into naval history and you look at the battles of the South Pacific in 42, there are a lot of
Oh
U.S.
yeah.
heavy and light cruisers that
San
aren't in the games
Francisco,
that should be. San Francisco, Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. Yep.
Um, there's a handful of others I should know off the top of my head.
There's a lot
Like
of
there's also
there's a lot of
there's a
city
lot of other
class cruisers. Yeah.
and like for other nations like there's I know that some other nations, most nations own it, but the British, they had plenty of cruiser designs, battleship designs.
What's the one that they just
Granted,
came
they're
out
paper.
with on PC? I kind of want it in this one. Repulse.
Yeah, the Renown and the Repulse, so the battle cruiser line.
Yep,
Like
I
that would
want
be a
that.
great addition.
Absolutely.
Like instead of
And
adding
and
the
also
Russian alternate destroyer line, why not add German and British battle cruiser lines?
right. And
Why not?
and also we don't always have to have a tier 7 premium for the campaign. I'd be fine with a tier
Mhm.
5 premium or a tier 4 even or a tier 6. Like how many tier 6 premiums have there been in a campaign? I don't think there's ever been any.
Ever?
Maybe
No, I
maybe
can't.
one. Oh no, there was
Atlanta?
Atlanta, the first one. I
Atlanta.
think that was
yeah.
it.
Venom, Atlanta,
Belfast.
And
Venom.
Venom. And Venom. Right.
Oh, so
And
Atlanta,
Belfast.
Belfast,
Okay.
and Venom. So 3 out of like 40. 50
Yeah.
probably.
Probably not more. And like and speaking on off of this campaign, who in their right mind would pick the independents over the black? Come on, a tier 5 over a tier 7, and then
Tier
you
5
can
tier that
For the
has
same price.
80 AA, yeah,
Yeah.
the same
right
price.
same price. Like, come on, like the independents should have been part of the campaign that you got at like tier 60 or tier 70.
Yeah, you remember that campaign years ago they did that? Where you got 2 ships in the
Yes,
campaign?
it was
One
the
was like a low
Yahagi.
tier.
It was the Yahagi.
That was the
and
Massachusetts campaign.
in the Massachusetts. Yep, and they also did
That
it
was-
too with the
So
Grammy. I think
It was a Halloween, yeah, the Grimmy and the Halloween commander at the end, right?
right. It was a small
Yeah.
mini campaign. It was like 2 weeks
Mhm.
long or something. Like, and that's what I'm saying. We don't always have to have these high tier battleships or high tier cruisers, whatever. Now they're doing destroyers. We don't have to have these high, tier 7 ship premium ships for a campaign, because if you think
I would
about it,
take.
if you think about
would
it, hold
say-
on 1 second. If you think about it,
Once you finish.
there's what out of all the campaigns, like 90% of them have been tier 7, and 95 maybe if not more. And
Yeah.
look at the amount of, or should I say, look at where all the unskilled players play. Is in high tier, where you
High
notice
tier,
it the
yeah.
most. And I'm not saying you don't see it in lower tier like 4 and 5, because of course you're going to see it in lower tiers. But
You
you
expect
see
it there.
You expect it,
Yeah.
but you really, really see it a lot in higher tier. It's almost like every game, again, there's the majority of the enemy team, the majority of your team is just brainless. For lack of a better word, they just don't know what's going on. Clueless. You know what I mean? But go ahead, Tiger.
So this is one that's like 50-50, I'm pretty sure, with the community, probably even like less odds for it. I would rather have more campaigns with legendary tier ships.
Yes.
I would rather have that. Not so much that more, like, less experienced players can get access to them, but that so that we can finally fill out legendary tier, because it's taking way too long to add too few ships a year to such a tier where the meta is really stagnant. It's really predictable. It happens every single game, and the ships they're constantly facing tier 7s. Now, granted, the tier 8 edition is going to make tier 7 great again. I think it's a great idea. It's taken a little long to get there, but the whole tier compression thing was just not a good idea from the
I
start.
mean, it's not like the game is called World of Warship Legends or anything. Just saying.
So, like, the day that they thought of compressing the tier was the day that the game was just broken into, because the second they brought Yami into the game, and GK and Alaska, and then put them against tier 7s, the game was just broken.
I love how
they
Yama
constantly
was
had
brought
to
in so
adjust.
early. Why that one? Who made that decision?
But, like, they did
Yamato
all
would
of
be the
that.
first.
Well,
They did that, and they've adjusted the legendary tier ships how many times over the years so that they wouldn't be too strong against tier 7s. They should have just kept it straight up to tier 10 and kept the ships as they were, so when you finally got to tier 7, tier 8, tier 9, tier 10, whatever it would have been for the quote-unquote compressed tiers, the ships wouldn't have to be nerfed as much. They wouldn't have to be adjusted as much because of how the match.
you wouldn't even have to do 10 tiers. Start battleships at tier 2. Nobody fucking plays tier 2. Nobody plays tier 1. Nobody plays tier 3, honestly, unless you want to go and club some baby seals. But
yeah, baby, Iwaki.
But oh my god, I love that ship. But what I'm saying is, start. And I'm glad they're bringing tier 8 now. Again, finally, like you were saying, like, Jesus Christ, we've needed this for so long. But I've been saying all along, the quickest and easiest way to maybe throw some type of balance into the game, knock the battleships back a tier. Start them in tier 2. You know what I mean? Because there's a ton squished between 3 and 7. That whole line, that whole ship class is squeezed between 3 and 7, or 3 and legendary. And now that tier 8's coming out, right, it doesn't work. There's just way too much. Now that tier 8's coming out, that's a lot better, because now you're never gonna see 7s and legendaries unless you fill division. But that's just one thing that I'm not even the first person to say that. Like, you have so much going between 4 tiers, 3 through 7, or legendary, I guess 5. But you have so much content squeezing between those tiers, and you are leaving these, entry level tiers with no incentive to play it, essentially. You know what I mean? Like, when I first got this game, and I'm like, whoa, because I didn't have a PC at all. Like, I used to watch World of Warships PC on my phone, YouTube, whatever. I used to watch it day in and day out. I had it on my phone. I had Blitz, and I played the shit out of Blitz. But Blitz got very boring after a while because it was the same thing, just 6-minute matches or whatever. But I loved it. I enjoyed it. I played like 10,000 matches on my phone, believe it or not. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Please. We had lots of arguments. But but what I'm saying is, once I finally was like, oh my god, this game's coming to console, I immediately was like, I want the USS Iowa. I want it. I'm gonna grind. That was my first tier 7 ship, and I grinded for it, as quick as I could. But when I started doing that grind, when I played the Albany, and then I played the tier 2, whatever it is. What's tier 2?
St. Louis.
St. Louis, right. So when you got to there, it's like, I can't wait to get out of these 2 tiers. I cannot wait. I can't wait to get out of 3. The Wyoming's garbage. I can't wait to get out of 4. The New York is awful. You know what I mean? I get it that that's the way they went. They were early with the game, but if they had the battleships in tier 2, I think there'd be more of an incentive to play those lower tiers for longer and really try to understand the mechanics of the game. That's where you should be learning it. You know what I mean? They make it way too easy and way too quick to go from 1 to 4 in a day, in a couple hours, honestly. To really put some boosters into it. So
I understand that Wargaming is a company and they need to make money, and whales will always be whales. But when the quality of your product is getting worse and worse over time, and this is one of the core issues. That's not the biggest one, but it's a big issue still. Why would you not try to fix it? Why would you not try to improve the quality of your product?
Right. But what were some other topics you mentioned? You got balance.
Yeah, you had
Hustle,
7.
Hustle, do you have?
Yeah.
I know I had 7, but Hustle, what do you have as well?
For what? Monetization?
Just anything that
Anything.
we haven't discussed already that is bugging you.
I mean, we already kind of touched on my biggest issue, and that's RNG.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, monetization, I don't have a problem with that. I'm a business person myself. I understand business. You know, it's a business first and foremost.
Yeah.
Their
Mhm.
goal is to maximize profit and make the most that they possibly can. And if they achieve customer satisfaction in the process, more power to them. Like, they're happy with
It's a
that.
numbers game for them.
But
At the end of the day, it's a numbers game, and I get that. I respect that. I really do, because guess what? If it wasn't for the whales, if it wasn't for the monetization, even though it's scummy, we probably wouldn't have this game, because
Right.
server people need to get paid, salaries need to be paid, people's families need to eat and have a roof over their heads. I totally get that, but there are also better ways to go around the things that they're doing, especially when it comes to monetization. But
So I have a story I want to work in here. It's an analogy, but it's also a story. So I used to play tournament paintball, right? So like, as a tournament player, you would think like you're competitive, you're working every weekend to try to be the best that you can, you're practicing, you're doing all this stuff, right? You would think that like a field would want to cater to you, right? You are like a hyper not aggressive, but like committed player.
yeah,
Like, you are more committed than an average Joe, right? Well, the local field near me in my area never would do tournaments. They never catered to tournament players, and I never could figure out why that is. And then later in life, I figured out why that is, because the money is not with the ultra committed small percentage player. It's not.
exactly.
The money is in the church group and the birthday parties and the quote unquote filthy casuals. So, you know,
Weekend warriors.
weekend warriors, exactly. That's where the money is. And so, just using that as an analogy in terms of World of Warships Legends, you know, as you said earlier, Tiger, you know, you have the CCs and then there's us doing this podcast right now. And we're a notch below those guys, but we're still part of the small percentage of the ultra committed player base.
And not to forget to mention, we are a watered down version of this game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, especially for those who have experience, like you guys have played way more PC than I have, but I know of it, I've seen it. There are a lot of things that would like to be implemented into this game, and it doesn't. To me, it doesn't. I don't see why it's that hard. You know what I mean? Like, special perks
Commander skills,
special perks, more commander skills. We only have what, 5-6 with legendary, 5 or 6 commander skills,
Yeah.
and 90% of them all do the same thing. There's
True.
only, you know what
and
I mean?
also like for individual commanders, like having perks like a general mush and the actual like skill thing, not the legendary tier perks, but like just the average ones that every single person can have access to.
Right.
Seeing more standard false, that's our adrenaline rush. Seeing survivability expert on more destroyer commanders, not being forced to run sims on every single destroyer so that
Correct.
we can actually survive a gunfight. Seeing more of those perks and allowing for more flexibility, and just possibly even shake up the meta with some of those additions.
That new was it Pan Euro Battleship Commander? He has a unique skill. That was nice.
Right.
Yeah,
it's like a brawler skill,
Right,
but it doesn't affect your.
But just look at the flags too, right? We have 5 flags. We have Commander XP, we have regular XP, we have credit booster, global XP booster, and then speed flag. Am I correct? Is that it?
Yeah,
5 flags.
The speed flag is just like it's speed and then
speed, and then the third one,
and then main gun range.
And the third one is main gun range, right? Exactly. But
in all honesty, I'm okay with those because, granted, it's a watered down version. But at the same time, it's just they're.
But look how many flags are in PC. That's what I'm saying.
You can have like 40.
You get like 40 flags in PC. One of them is a ram flag, so you don't have to put a pay to Grommet Smart, right? A Warhammer commander that's not a standard commander. So going back to what you're saying, if you don't have those pay to win commanders, I'm gonna call it pay to win because that's essentially what they are. If because look at AL Scharnhorst, for instance, probably one of the best ones to have, like or
Nelson
Nelson, right? Nelson's a good one. Just
Tago.
recently too, who? Oh, AL Tago, right? AL Tago.
Tago.
Azuma is. Yeah. I've heard good things about Azuma as well.
Zuma's good. What's the German one? The Warhammer. What's his name?
Riegerwald.
Oh, Riegerwald, right? Like, come on, dude. That's a no brainer. You know what I mean? If you don't have those commanders, you're missing out on some really good perks. You know what I mean? And it's not your fault. So they need to implement like more diversity, more skills and perks with these commanders because it's just getting you're going to get to a point where the player base is going to be in a stagnant, kind of skill level. And I know what I meant. I know what I said earlier is probably contradicting this. It feels like the player base is getting worse, but you're going to have numerous players with the same build, the same setup, and you can almost see it. You know what I mean? Oh, I know I'm going up against a Fubuki and I outspotted him, so I know he's not running Fragile Threat or something, whatever. You know what I mean? Just for an example. So I would like to see more perks and commander skills into the game that add a little bit more diversity on the playing field, because we really only have two type of game modes, or three now with Epicenter, but we have capture the base, domination, Epicenter, which is all essentially pretty much the same thing. And on PC they just brought back convoy missions or escort missions. That'd be cool to see.
I played awesome, convoy today in my Des Moines, and I had so much fun. I literally took a forward position. I farmed against battleships. I overextended, and we supported our convoy. It was a perfect game. It was just so much fun. I don't understand why we don't have games like that or modes like that.
Or even like what I said earlier, training rooms, so that way we can do custom matches. So we can do Fight Club and Two Brothers in the middle. Something like that would be so fun.
I guarantee if they were to add training rooms, I know this is a dead horse that we've been beating for years and years now, but if they were to add training rooms, that would be such a good thing to add for two reasons. One, new content to be added. Yep. It's like custom games, like you said, rushing up through Two Brothers in the middle, trying to squeeze their lamb, ramming only, recreating historical battles, so on and so forth.
Right.
But another big underrated one when it comes to training rooms is people being allowed to test their ships in an environment that is not AI battles, where the enemy just charges forward at you and they die in 20 seconds.
Right.
In training rooms, you can set up a ship or enemy ships of certain types. You can set them at certain ranges. You can maneuver your ship to get to other positions to see what happens if you shoot a ship at different angles. There's the potential for training rooms in both aspects of content creation and education. It's such a big thing that just shouldn't be passed up, and yet it's been 3 years and it still hasn't made its way.
I would much rather have training rooms than clan battles that people are working on. Clan battles would be fun. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see clan battles, but training rooms I think would be way more important.
No, I think I agree. I think 90% of people that are screaming for clans really mean training rooms.
Right. Because I mean, let's be real. We all know which groups are screaming for clan battles, and these are the tryhards. These are the sweats. These are the people that can't stand to lose. They get into the game listen, I love to win. I really do. And I've had moments where I'm that sweat, that tryhard, but at the end of the day, I do this to get away from my life, to have a little bit of fun, to relax. You know what I mean? So if I had a bad game, yeah, you might hear me gripe about it, but boom, I'm on to the next one. You guys know me very well. I rarely lose my shit. Cool.
But I've lost my shit before multiple times.
I shot the rock.
Time,
I shot the rock.
That was drinking apple juice. Yeah, that was a little bit too much adult apple juice. But if I legitimately
fermented
get
juicy
off
juice
at a video game, there is a specific reason why, and it is something that I know and something that just makes me angry every single time I see it. and the same things happen over and over again, and they keep happening, and it's just repetitive bullshit, and it pisses me off every single time.
It's 3 little letters, Tiger. RNG. RNG. That's what pisses you off.
Henry.
Henry.
Yeah, I agree, and it's just frustrating because we really like this game. This game it's got a lot of potential, and I really do feel bad for the art department because they blow it out of the water every time.
Yeah.
Oh, the
They-
new graphical
new
updates were
maps,
amazing.
They
so
do
nice.
such a good job every time, day in and day out. They come to work. I feel bad for them. I really do, because they're working for a company where they're putting up their end of the bargain, and the other side is like, meh, this is good enough. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, it's like a bad relationship with an ex girlfriend. You just keep going back to it because there's something holding you on. There's we still have this hope, this little glimmer of hope that one day it will get better. It will be better. But
Mhm.
it's just taken too long. And there's only so much that the player base, and I know plenty of experienced players, very good players that just stopped. They quit. They're just like, I can't do it anymore. Like it's not worth it to lose their mind, their stress, their time, or money even over a game that just doesn't care, about
About
it's
them.
right about them, about the minorities, I guess. And we are kind of like the minorities. We are kind of um the 1%, if you want to call it, the higher end players. I don't know. It's just I don't feel I don't feel like the game is catered towards
It's not.
the higher skilled players.
It's
So
not.
And I'm okay with it not being
and
completely catered
yeah,
towards
no,
us, but
that's true. Maybe that was a little harsh, but and I'm not saying it has to be, but like, come on, man, give a little.
To be accommodating,
yeah,
not catered, but
yeah,
accommodating.
yes,
Right.
Come on.
yes.
They're like I might be jumping around, but and I don't know all the perks, but um I know in PC when you start losing health, you reload faster, or like when you get a
Yeah,
crack hit,
adrenaline rush.
adrenaline rush. Thank you, I couldn't think of the word.
And then for specialty commanders, like having Kuznetsov or Yamamoto for all of you PC players out there, where if you get first blood, you get an extra consumable charge, which is huge for battleships because we only have 3 heals stock for most of the battleships.
Right.
Unless you're playing the Italian line, you get an extra, or the British line, you get one less.
Well,
But
the
yeah,
Italian line, you get an extra one, but it's like a third of the heal like
Yeah,
normal
yeah.
battleships. But anyway, continue.
But yeah, like having those special perks would be huge for certain lines because, I mean,
Right.
for one thing, it helps us survive longer, but also it's like rewarding us.
Right, and then like if you get a Kraken with Yamamoto, you get
All your health back.
you pretty much get like half your health back, and you reload it's like 30% faster and all that. And like, and the reason why I harp on a perk like that is because there are many times where I'm the last one alive, and I'm just stuck with my same stock reload, my same standard reload, my same whatever health I have left. You know what I mean? So perks like that would kind of give you an upper hand in a 1v4 or 1v3. Just a little bit extra help. And we don't have that. And another thing
Like
that
I
gets go
can
ahead.
understand why it may be difficult to add perks like that to Legends because it's very specific for a specific player to accomplish that every single time. So I can give a little bit of understanding to that. A great example of why a perk like Adrenaline Rush should be on more ships. So recently, the new stock Pan-Euro commander, Conrad Helfrich, he has Stand or Fall in his 4th slot. And I run that. And I put it on Friesland, and I put it with fully packed as well. So I have 3 smokes, 3 hydras, 3 speed boosts, which is amazing. So my reload base is 1.5 seconds. So it's still fast. But if you were to run Jersey Swirsky, you would get like 1.4, maybe 1.3 if you go full reload. But if I put Stand or Fall on Conrad at 16.3 at the moment, 16.4 will be better, but at 16.3 right now, as I lose health, my reload time decreases. And I can get my reload from 1.5 seconds to 1.2. Like 90% of my health gone. Which is huge in DD on DD fights. I know this is specific, but it's huge because it gives me that extra boosted DPM that can help me in close situations.
But
So seeing that perk added to
what do
battleships
you
and like having 4 seconds less of reload time can be huge in the late game.
100%. But let me ask you this, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier. We have so many limited slots for commanders. There's what, 5 or 6. What are you giving up just to have that little bit of extra reload in a time when you may or may not be damaged? What are you giving up? There's other perks that are better than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So see, you know, it's a lot of these perks in this game are very give and take, and you really got to outweigh like what's the better poison. You know what I mean? Like it.
Yeah.
One prime example before Azuma got buffed, the turret traverse was atrocious for a battleship, let alone a cruiser. But you had to find yourself, okay, do I run like Makawa and then have, you know, better maneuverability, better stealth, you know, or do I run Yamamoto, have better turret traverse and, you know, all this other crap, you know? So it's like, which one do I pick? You know, instead of having a little bit of both. Not saying you have to have everything, but a little bit better compromise, especially for a ship that's definitely weaker than the majority. You know, now Azuma is a lot better, but I'm just saying as an example when I first came out, because there's many times, and even now, there's many times when they come out with a ship, and there's little to no hype about it because it's just dog shit. It's just awful.
Mm-hmm.
And
Charles
there's
Hughes.
Flandra, yeah. Well, actually, I like the Flandra because it's a secondary monster, but it's doesn't pen anything. It's just hilarious to see that you have
Secondary
like
monster, yeah.
you just, and I mean it as like total number of hits, not damage you actually do
400 hits for 17k
in like 3 seconds. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you know, there, just to kind of sum it up, battleships are not in the best spot right now. There needs to be more perks or commander skills to assist and improve the battleship play. Carry, you can't carry in a battleship, especially solo. It's just not. It's not gonna.
There's
Work.
no way.
And it
Nope.
forces you, at least for me, it forces me to have to go into those support roles. I like playing cruisers, but I'm not good at it. I love playing destroyers, and I'm very good at it. You know what I mean? So I usually go that road when it comes to like a support or carry role. But still to this day, my battleships are my favorite. It's just the raw power that they have and the potential. You know, there's so much satisfaction when you get like a depth strike 15 kilometers out. It's like, did you see that? That dude's, you know, back in port, smack his wife or something.
That's Michael V. If he's
it's
listening.
Michael V. Yeah,
Poor guy.
He's like, I tell Hustle I didn't hit my wife. But you know, just
love you, Mikey.
It's just you know, for me that feeling of just raw power, just boom, you one shot, you take out an enemy, and now you're on to the next one. Like that game, that video I made with Georgia again. Sorry, Mikey, but that was one of the few games in a long time where shit was clicking. I dev struck Mike. I dev struck that Hipper. I think I dev struck in Iowa too, maybe or New Orleans or something. I forgot.
A seven kill
kills.
Georgia game.
Yeah, 7 kill Georgia game. I was just do it. It was clicking. Every shot, the shots were they hit where they're supposed to hit. They didn't overpen. They had like 11 citadels that game in the Georgia. It was wild. I don't know. There and you know, games like that make you want to play battleships because it's like, oh, that was like a drug. Like that was so awesome. So fun. You know, like the majority of times when you have good games in destroyers, it's not by getting the 200,000 damage and death strike and shit. It's because you are spotting for your team. You are getting caps. You are hunting other destroyers. Like when you're in DD, the pressure is on because you are the most important puzzle piece to that team.
Yeah.
Because once
you
lose DDs, that's it. Your team's done.
A perfect example, Hustle King Swag, who's another ex-Legends player who plays PC with us from time to time. We were playing PC today, and we had a game where we lost all of our destroyers. It was fuck, I think it was 4 or 5 destroyers and the sub. We lost those all in 5 minutes, and the game was just over. There's nothing we could do. We were just in not a good position to do anything about it. Like, the game was just lost. There was no point in trying to stick it out.
Yeah. But and that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you can carry in a destroyer. You can even carry in a cruiser if you play it right. But it's almost physically impossible to carry in a battleship. It's damn near impossible. Unless you were like
bad. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're against another destroyer, forget it. They would literally have to mess up in order for you to have any chance of winning. You know what I mean? Unless you get like one of those brain dead players that are just like, I gotta win harder. You know, that's why it makes me so mad when I see a destroyer die to a battleship secondaries or even just a battleship in general when there's no radar cruisers on your team. You know what I mean? So, or on their team, it's like, how are you no carriers? You know what I mean? It's like
earlier on PC today, we saw a DD die to a carrier secondary.
Yeah.
Come on, dude. He has no guns.
You remember playing yesterday, and there was that Fletcher on.
Oh my god. Hotspot.
So Hustle, Hotspot. Hustle, were you with us when this happened? I forget.
No, it was me and you and Tuna. It was me, you, and Tuna.
So yeah, that's right. So for those of you, obviously, you guys don't know. So we were on Hotspot. There was this Fletcher who had 3 bars of health, which means he's not running Sims, and he's most likely running a torpedo build. He did not try to go forward to the cap at all. He was hiding behind the islands and spawn the whole game. He didn't try to contest the cap at all once.
What's the Fletcher's reload for torps? Like 2 minutes or minute 40 if you run Gleaves?
Stock with stock torpedo reload without putting anything into it is a minute 20, 2 minutes and 2 seconds, I think. If you run the torpedo modification and Gleaves, I think you get it down
a box
to
of Hot Pockets
somewhere
faster than that.
Around like I want to say like a minute 20, minute 30. So it's better, but not that much. And your torpedoes, they're not fast. They're 55 knots.
Right. They don't hit that hard
fishy,
either.
They're 58. Yeah. So he was behind islands the whole time, not spotting, not trying to hunt down destroyers, while 2 enemy destroyers were actively in the cap in front of us. I'm in a Stalingrad, Gerson, you were in a Conqueror, right?
Yep, Conqueror. Mm-hmm.
So he was doing nothing to help the team. Wasn't spotting, wasn't doing anything. 6 minutes go by. There's this Yami and an Edinburgh hiding, a red Yami and red Edinburgh hiding together on a rock.
Remember that.
And the Edinburgh is smoked up, and so is the Yami. So he doesn't see them coming. He charges them head on. Edinburgh has Hydro, or they're spotted by proxy. He still charges out, even though there's an icon blaring in the screen saying, hey, you've been spotted. He still goes out in front of an Edinburgh and Yami and immediately fucking dies without getting his torpedoes off.
No, he did get one set off. He got one set off and didn't hit nothing.
Yeah, so he had, I think, 260 base XP and a loss.
Yeah.
How is that fun? How is doing nothing for 6 minutes and then dying while missing? How is that fun?
And again, this is a person who grinded, at least you would think they grinded, to get the Fletcher, to get to high tier. They've gone through all that grinding, the Benson, the Mayhem, the Farragut, the Clemson, etc. They've gone through all that to get to where they are. And this is how they're playing. This is still how they're playing. They're running a torpedo build on Fletcher, which more power to you if that's how you want to play it, whatever. But you can still do destroyer things in the meantime while your torps are reloading. You can still push into the cap and contest. You can still go out and spot. You can still hunt down destroyers because even with the torpedo build, you still have pretty decent guns. Granted, it's probably like a 3.6 second reload, 3.5 or whatever with Gleaves, but it's still a little bit better. It's than most other tier 7 destroyers. Or even Legend.
I'm going to harp on another thing. This isn't trying to be specific. If you're out there, I'm sorry I'm bringing this up, but I have to. So there was a guy on Facebook who posted saying that Black is a horrible gunboat. Black is a horrible gunboat that has a bad reload. It's good against other torpedo boats, but you're going to lose a fight against a gunboat. So I asked him the question, what is your build? He just said he had Mordov and then Ding Rusheng, so the Pan-Asian commander, as his inspirations. He didn't say what commander he had on the
Gleaves.
ship.
It's probably
So
Gleaves.
he said he had a 3.8 second reload on a Black. Black stock reload is 3.6. The only way you can have a higher stock reload...
Subsurface Venture, right?
Yes, the only way you can have it a higher stock reload or a higher reload time is if you decrease it, which is using the subsurface venture perk, which increases your torpedo reload time, but decreases your main gun reload time at max by 10%.
Right.
And then obviously Mordoff and Ding Rushane, those help, but I mean,
Yeah, but
and that also means in the 4th slot he was running the torpedo reload modification on a black. So even if you were to fully build like Gleaves with torpedoes and having Ding and Mordoff for your gun reload, your torpedoes at maximum will go a speed of 51 knots. That's if you put the torpedo speed perk and not the reload.
Amalfi, heavy breathing.
So if you put the
steamroller torpedoes,
if you don't put the torpedo speed perk on, your reload will be just around 70 seconds, which is good because Black's torpedoes hit like a fucking truck, but they go 47 fucking knots. That is literally meaning a club bear can outrun your torpedoes.
And they get spotted pretty far too.
Yeah. It's just, why would you sacrifice the 2 seconds almost 2 full seconds of DPM? Because
then have the audacity to go on Facebook and say this ship sucks because you're playing it wrong, and then you don't want to take any criticism that people give you. You know what I mean? Granted, I understand if someone's being a dick, you're not supposed to be like, you know what, you're right.
Someone doesn't know, or someone doesn't know. But if they don't know, then just
accept criticism.
Right.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I'm not trying to. If you are out there and you listen to this, I'm sorry, but I just have to. Like, I think the Fletchers are such good gunboats.
I think going forward, when we do because I really like this podcast that we're doing. I think going forward, we should do this while we're playing matches, and then we'll play the ships as we're talking about the scenarios. That's a great idea. Or like the topic, like for instance, we can do one episode strictly based off of destroyer play or whatever, and then talk about things you should be doing, then switch it up, maybe cruisers or battleships or whatever. But as we're doing it, we'll talk about while we're in our division, we'll say, I'm doing this because of this. I don't know if you guys do this, but for instance, the very first thing I do, no matter what ship I'm in, is I look at the menu and see what I'm going against, the scoreboard.
Yep. Every time.
And then there's a lot you can gain from that way before the game even starts. If you see that there's a division and there's a destroyer and a battleship in the same division, destroyers are very hard to spot first. Battleships are very easy to spot first. So if you see a Massachusetts with a Fletcher, then you know wherever the Massachusetts is, the Fletcher is most likely on that side because division mates spawn with each other 99 times out of 100. So that's just one thing that I look for. I look to see who has radar and sonar, and it's very important to learn the range and the time, the amount of time those radars and sonars last, and the range, and all of that will come with experience. You know, you'll gain that as you unlock ships, and you can go and you can look, and you can just research them. But it doesn't take much to hit select on your controller and just look at what you're up against. That's so I'm just saying things like that. That's what we could be doing in this podcast. We can be like, hey, I'm doing this because of this, and
I think that's a good idea too.
Yeah.
So, granted, I think if we do that, we should make a YouTube video as well and put it to YouTube. So we can have the audio for if we wanted to do Spotify or anything else. But yeah, I think we should do all the episodes to YouTube as well. Maybe down the road if we learn how to do Spotify. Yeah, but definitely do YouTube, show that. Because I'm not even joking, guys. I'm horrible when it comes to deleting and editing Legends footage. I have over 350 gigabytes of Legends footage.
Oh, I have I have a 2 terabyte hard drive just for my recordings from me going live and stream. I have used 1.76 terabytes. I have maybe 300 gigs left, if that.
And 7 YouTube videos.
And 7 YouTube videos. Yeah, exactly. I'm slacking.
But yeah, just I have all that footage that I need to edit through because it's good footage. It's 3,100 base games.
I give a lot of credit. I give a lot of credit to people who actually sit there and take time and they edit and they clip and they manage and they put out consistent content. And that's what it takes. That's what it's gonna take to fight these algorithms with YouTube and Twitch and whatever. it's gonna take persistence and just
Consistency.
have a consistency, right? That's the key, is being consistent and being persistent, and just kind of following a routine, just getting yourself into a routine. And for some people, it's harder than others. I got a lot going on. You guys got a lot going on. Like it's not for everybody, but you're absolutely right, Tiger. I also have games, like for instance, that Missouri game. Do you remember that Missouri game, Brian?
Mhm.
Yeah, that was insane.
What,
Yeah.
Tiger, I don't know if you remember that. I don't know if you were with us, but
I don't think I was, but I remember you talking about it.
dude, it was like 15 seconds left in the match. They were up by 40 points. Their last ship left was a Baltimore, and then he just got spotted. I was about 15 kilometers
Literally
out.
Hail Mary.
Dude,
Yeah.
I couldn't even see him. I just saw his ship icon, and I just blind fired based off of like where his what direction I saw his ship going on the mini map. And that's another thing too, mini map awareness. That's huge. I look at that thing more than I do the actual game. But so I looked at the direction he was going. I saw that I didn't have the little white mountain indicator, which means my shells would clear. And I just fuck it. I sent it full send, and boom, shells out. And then right around like the 5 second mark, I dev struck him. He died, and then we flipped points, and then the game ended. And we won. But like I have that video. I have that whole game, and I just didn't do anything with it. And that was like over almost 2 months ago when that happened.
Like,
So
I'm still gonna go back to the old footage because they're still like good, but I need to sort through it. And
oh,
it's,
100%.
my problem is, if I can do it, I am 100% in. I'm full effort, like no full focus on it. It's me motivating myself to even do it in the first place. That's my
Exactly.
problem.
Getting
It's just like,
getting your mindset at that point, like, okay, listen, today you're gonna spend the day or 3 or 4 hours solid editing, getting this
you
out
guys
there.
know my How to Fletcher video, right?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a great video.
That video took 27 hours of editing.
And how many
That took
views did you
27.
get?
136, which is actually surprisingly good.
Yeah, it's a
for
lot better
my
than what I
channel.
got.
But like, it took me all that time. And I was exhausted at the end of it. I was proud because it's like I actually motivated myself to do it. Like the video didn't do too hot, but I mean, I'm a small YouTube channel.
Well, you got to start
But, like,
somewhere, and as you go
yeah.
along, you're gonna get better.
Yeah,
You're gonna get faster.
yeah, just like me motivating myself to even do it in the first place. Because like the first thought that pops into my head when I have to edit is just like, oh, I have to sort through all of this now. But like I get
That kind
2
of what you
hours
just
in.
said though, Tiger, that kind of goes along with what we just talked about this entire hour and 10 minutes on this podcast though.
Right.
Because I saw something that Chili said in Aaron's Discord the other day, is that how-to videos and they just don't do well. So like good players that are already established on YouTube know this. They've tried to put out how-to
Right.
videos on how to do things better and be better players, and they just don't do well because people don't care to watch them.
Right.
That's the sad part. It's really sad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I say let's wrap it up here. I think this has been a pretty good first
Yeah.
one. We can edit some parts out. I know I didn't really make sense sometimes I was speaking, but
Frank the
I think it'd be
Tank went
good.
all illogical. Crazy.
I think it'd be actually good to leave it as is. Like we can edit some things out, but I kind of liked it as it was because it's just we don't
natural
know how to
banter.
write we don't know how to write a podcast.
That's
We're
true.
not professional at this.
Yeah.
We're literally Legends players.
oh my
doing a
god, I
podcast.
just realized something.
Hmm.
I didn't have the desktop audio playing, so you're only gonna hear my voice.
No.
I'm kidding. You blew
You
it.
motherfucker, you.
What are you doing?
You blew it.
I'm
Well,
kidding,
let's
I'm
do it over.
Yeah.
I blew it.
All right, so I guess we'll end it at that. For those listening out there, I'm Jared, aka GurthQuake24, Brian, Hustle.
Hustle.
Yep.
Joe Tiger Terror 79.
All right, and for those of you that want to follow, like, comment, subscribe, we all have YouTube channels. We'll leave the link in the video. And for everybody that's listening, thank you so much for joining. Probably gonna do one of these a week. I say, guys, right? Once a week, at least for now.
Absolutely.
And maybe we'll do some gameplay at the same time. Yeah,
We'll get better at this.
we definitely will. Yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day. So
Pretty good though. If I do say so myself.
yeah, I like this. I genuinely like, just because this is a topic that we all feel something passionate about, and
Spitballing.
we're all very well, seasoned at this game, so we know what we're actually talking about.
If you guys have ideas for us to talk about too, leave them
Absolutely,
in
yeah.
the comments on the video for
Comments,
sure.
Let us know.
If you want to see me play the John Bart and Brian watch, that's
Want to see me play the Richelieu?
yeah.
I
We'll play
can play the Flander.
We'll play three French premium tier 7 battleships. We'll call ourselves the French Connection. How about that?
I like that.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Take care. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.
See ya.
See ya.